There we go. Audio should be fixed now. What's up, guys? Let's see. What's up, King Shadow, Masai, Jack, Hard4, Quentin, Dilated Pixel, Masai, Vader Cool, King Shadow. Hope you guys can hear me. Thanks for joining me today. Making sure all the levels are good here. Thank you guys for letting me know. Sigma, what's up? Yes, Quentin, I actually just saw the Discord messages right before I got on. I was off doing a bunch of stuff yesterday, so I wasn't able to jump online. I just saw your messages. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. And I'll reply to that as well once I'm off. ZTG, how's it going? What's up? Should be good now. We got 34 people in here and only 12 likes. So let's fix that. Got to fix that. Hit that like button. Thanks for coming in. What's up, horror fan for life? Yeah, so I'm just going to be answering the chat. And the chat is, you have the floor. So anything you want to ask about Resident Evil 4 remake, how you feeling about it? I figured that's going to be, what's new with Resident Evil 4 remake in the community. What's up, Danger Dylan? Nothing new on the Capcom front, but a bunch on the community side of things in terms of a bunch of stuff's going on. A bunch of videos are being made, a bunch of, leaks and all this stuff are being, pushed around and people taking it for face, people not taking it for face value, characters potentially being cut out. Should characters be cut out? So there's a lot of discussion points that we can obviously get into here. So feel free to ask about some RE4 remake goodness. Yeah, that's why I don't really cover a lot of the leaks and stuff. It would be really easy for me to be one of the easy clickbait channels, and that's how you grow. That's how people grow faster than me and faster that it's all for that. All these like newer channels that are coming out, recent ones that are really just elevated on clickbait and repeating the same thing over and over again. And so that's what I've tried to avoid. Try to be more, quality over quantity, but still give you a decent amount of stuff that I want to talk about and discuss. And I have a couple of things that I'm really excited to be working on. And it's awesome. It's going to be really cool to do some more RE4 related stuff that isn't necessarily the the RE4 remake stuff. The RE3 stuff, that's the comparison, right? That's another community talking point, is if it's going to get that RE3 treatment. Capcom will be at San Diego Comic-Con. Think we may get RE4 remake there? I don't think so, because I think that's pretty soon. I don't think so. I'm betting on Tokyo Game Show, but if anything, guys, we might get that collector's edition announced or something. Maybe, I don't know. They might wait for Tokyo Game Show, but they can easily show like Street Fighter, and then they're done. But it was announced today that E3 is happening next year, which is very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting that they're bringing that back. I've always wanted to go, but I'm also, is there really going to be like a lot of good shit there? I don't know. I at least want to go once in my life. I always wanted to. Dilated Pixel says OG RE4 is so long and could have a lot trim to fit into the modern shape of games. Well, there's definitely stuff that could be kind of trimmed and restructured. We definitely don't want a bunch of shit cut out that is, a little too much, where it gets that RE3 kind of vibe that a lot of people didn't like about RE3 remake. Now I personally like RE3 remake, and I still had a problem with like the clock tower being cut, Type 2 Nemesis completely being changed, but I still really liked it. So don't get me wrong. I know the majority of the community usually doesn't really like RE3 remake and the changes that it made, that they made for it. RE4 skins in Fortnite. Oh, it will come, RJG. It will come. They already have the other stuff in there, so. Let's see. Let's see here. If any of you guys ever played Uncharted 4, what if Krauser's knife fight was similar to the final sword fight in that game where it's innovative? I've actually played Uncharted 4, and I'm a big fan. Farcom, I would say, yeah, I mean, something like that would be a little more skill-oriented than just being on the timing side of things. You got to really be on it with the fluidity. They have to really nail the fighting. And that's the one thing I liked about Uncharted 4, and they brought it into Last of Us 2, was that it doesn't matter what you say about those games individually on the surface of things. I like Uncharted 4 a lot, and I thought the mechanics were getting really good. And then by the time they got to Last of Us 2, they really nailed it. They knew exactly what they had to do. And I like seeing that progression. So, yeah, it's a fun thing, you know. Let's see. Love the freeze rounds above. Yeah, the freeze rounds there. Yep. Hell yeah. The freeze rounds are here. Thank you. Shout out to Nick, fellow member Nick in the community. Let's see. Hard Forces. I'm glad that God of War is getting released this year. Game Award of 2023 will be for RE4. Yeah, that could definitely run for that, for sure. And then, yeah, you got God of War. That recently got announced for the release date. So at least there's another game to play right before Callisto comes out. Which got the Collector's Edition announced today. It's on GameStop. Is anybody picking that up? I'm not going to pick that up. I gotta get that RE4 stuff when that's announced. Bsaa says, can't wait to see the dog in RE4. Too bad I'm only going to see him once because I'm definitely using the rocket launcher on that troll. Oh, yeah, El Gigante. Yeah. Well, I hope the dog will come back. The dog should come back. That would be such a killer thing. Do you predict the Resident Evil 9 will be announced next year? Yeah. I think it's safe to say that next year they could immediately say, yo, here we go. You know, next E3 could be, you know, they could just drop it. You know, they dropped RE7 at E3, or they could drop, you know, RE9 on their own Capcom event. But I think they'll be just riding the wave. We'll see. If not, you know, 2024 maybe. But it'll probably come out in 2024, be announced in 2023. So, hey, new pictures of the RE Netflix series, and one of the pictures is our first look at the Chainsaw Man that looks like from RE4. Oh, man. Yeah, I haven't seen that. You know, maybe I should do more coverage on that. But I will be covering it when it comes out. If there's, you know, I'll do a video talking about. But it's so close to the release date of the whole series, because I'm pretty sure it's being released. Can anyone confirm if it's being released all at once or is it episodically? Right? I'm pretty sure it's all at once. So it comes out on the 14th. So I would obviously cover it. You know, I'm going to cover the Netflix series those couple days after that. I'll probably just do a long podcast and talk about the episodes. I feel like that looks like what I might do if they drop them all at once. Let's see. What's up, Diamond Rattler? What's up, Chris Kennedy? What's up, man? Amir, what's up? Amir from Iran is here. Chef, bottom line, RE4 Remake has to have a 15-plus hour runtime. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be pretty long. I think it's going to be the most extensive remake yet. Colm, thank you for dropping in for a like. RJG finally got a Series X. Can't wait for RE4. Yeah, Richard got a Series X too. He got one last night on Game Complainers. Masai, I don't wait for trailers anymore after the No Way Home insanity. I'm just glad we have a release date. Exactly. I didn't see the Chainsaw Guy yet. Give us Paul Heyman in RE4 Remake. Yes. We need more Paul Heyman. Well, Eric, I think the leaks of the cut, the not cut, what's included, what's not included. I think a lot of people obviously are, they always kind of contradict again, the leaks always kind of go back and forth. I think there's people also make up their own stuff, but I think it's one of those things where like it comes down to if you just want it to be redone, and you want it to be, yeah, just like, I don't even know, man, if they really want to have, Krauser kind of implemented in the game where he's just kind of like not even really around, but he's still, I feel like that wouldn't really work as well. If you took him out completely, would people really miss him? I think some people will and some people won't. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you're not gonna make everyone happy. They could redesign them entirely, make them better. There's a lot they can do. So you look at the potential, you look at the things that they could do, and then when you get the game and you're like, damn, they should have done this, and they don't have it. But I agree, Aaron, to that point. What's up, RWK? Let's see. Scarlett says, if I'm being honest, the live-action RE series isn't the greatest idea, but if they can manage to pull it off, I think it has a chance of being somewhat great. Well, they always have the chance to make it great, but, I don't know. I'm going to judge the show, the new Netflix show. Once I watch it, I'll do a podcast on it, covering it. And, yeah, I'm just going to go in as much as I can. Let's see. I agree, Aaron, with that. The Mobinator says, yeah, Messiah. Oh, they're talking about Messiah here. They said the works are planning to release in 2024, but it's all good. Microsoft has them if anyone needs to pick one up. The Series X is in stock right now. Microsoft has them. That's cool. Kendo Gun Shop. What's up, man? Capcom will add Nest 3 on RE4 Remake. Yeah, another lab, right? Fran Rose says, I like Krauser overall as a character, but I can admit he was totally out of place. If they cut Krauser, if not, we're perfectly on RE4, I think. Yeah, it's really one of those things. I think a lot of people either like Krauser or you don't. You're either for Krauser or you're not for Krauser. Deepep. If they keep Krauser, I hope they keep how easily he dies when he used a knife, because a lot of people know about that in the original. I wish they would change it because I feel like it's too easy. I mean, it's cool, but if you made the fight exactly the same, then I feel like that wouldn't really be. I don't know. I feel like that would be a little, just like, too much of the same, and they can combine a lot of different things with the fight. With getting the pieces and stuff like that. Yes, the Scream Factory, Child's Play 1 through 3, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and The Fog. Yeah, they announced a bunch of shit. I'm not, I'll probably get the Child's Play like 1 through 3 when it goes on sale. I might get the Steelbook at Best Buy. I don't own any Child's Play on Blu-ray, believe it or not, so those I wouldn't really be double dipping. But let's see here. And then maybe they have the Merchant somewhere reference to Duke. They could. They are apparently old friends. That's true. I mean, the Duke did mention that. So it's like the connection to that. They could easily do that to make fans happy. Capcom said that Leon is more seasoned and skilled. Having a rival like Krauser really adds to that theme. I agree. I really agree, BM. I agree, Hard4. I don't like Jeff Keighley. And, yeah, he tried to improve the Game Awards, and it took E3's place. But I don't think it necessarily did. Hard4, I think he tried to make it take its place. But I think that show is really just a joke as well. Would you rather the Chainsaw Man's design stay the same as the original, or would you rather have it look taller, bloodier, like Waterworld? I would like it to be kind of like the bloody potato sack would be kind of cool, you know? I do like the crazy Waterworld chainsaw guy that's like, you know, a giant. Let's see. I got PS Plus and started playing Dark Side, and you could play it as Krauser. It's cool. He's quite part of the lore. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people should check that out if you haven't, you know, played it yet, or if you haven't gotten the chance to, and you have, you know, I don't know. It's one of those. If you don't have the Move controller, you're fine. You can still play it, but playing it on the Wii is obviously the best in terms of like if you have some kind of motion control. But yeah, we might get RE9 potentially after this year, or you know, 2023 even. 8 episodes, and they all release on the same day. And let's see if they show more Wesker. Okay, well, if they release all on the same day, then instead of doing like a bunch of separate videos, I'm just gonna do a whole podcast and talk about the whole series. You know, I'll break it down episode by episode. Who gets Michael Myers vibes from Mr. X? Yeah, definitely a stalker vibe. That's for sure. Let's see. Comment before saying I would be okay with him being cut out because I hate him, but not because I hate him. Okay, this is what Shadow says. Not because I hate him, but because I only see him as a plot device. Also, this is a new RE universe we want. We don't even know if Operation Javier happened. It's true, but I think that they will have some kind of history with Leon. I think that he's been on a few missions up until this point. The merchant will be the stalker pursuer type enemy. Yeah, that's funny. Stranger, why don't you buy my weapons? Yeah, Perry says, guys, E3's been dying since the late 90s. It's never going away. Yeah, no, it's not. They literally just announced it today that it's going to be happening next year. And they got the expo announced and everything. Let's see. I honestly think that Dr. Salvador was cool, but in my opinion, there were way too many of them. Yeah, they could like kind of do the less is more thing, you know. I would love to see the Chainsaw Sisters come back. I thought that was a real cool thing. Adding flashbacks, giving characters more background. Yeah, Messiah, that's expected. I hope so. Including Javier, maybe. Quentin says, I want Dr. Salvador to be a stalker-type enemy and an eventual boss. Then Chief Mendez is the next stalker of the village. Yeah, that'd be cool if they have different areas that have, you know, different stalker-type enemies. That'd be really cool. Let's see here. If they flesh out Leon and Krauser's history, Darkside Chronicles enough, plus gives him the same amount of characters, or the same amount of character makeover they did with Carlos in RE3, people will be happy. Yeah, if they just change it enough, you know, to make people, you know, satisfied. And he also says, I also hope we get some original concepts from previous builds that return in some way, in small portion or references, and remake the ending. Yeah, I like the little 3.5 jacket that he has. It's definitely more reminiscent of that. I like those little things, you know, whether it's on purpose or not or whatever. You should react to the evolving Resident Evil in the Netflix channel. In the Netflix channel is a new video explaining about the show. Oh, is there like a new video on it? Yeah, I'll probably be working on that stuff tonight. And yeah, The couple, see, the thing is with the Netflix show, guys, like I said, I'll probably cover the little bit of stuff that was released for sure, because I obviously cover the live action stuff just as much as I cover the games. You know me, I cover it all the way. I'm not going to leave any, stone unturned, so to speak, but we're so close to the release date. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to cover it properly. And I know there was some stuff that kind of came out during the RE4 and Village announcements, like very little things. And I didn't cover them because I was so busy doing like a bunch of other video ideas and trying to kind of build up this, this summer of RE concept that I have. And, I just want to let you know that I am going to be covering, the Netflix series. That's part of that. And I want to announce it here that I am going to be doing the RE4 randomizer. It's happening. I'm going to do it. And it's also like hard and challenging. It's like a harder run. So I am going to be working on getting that working. And I'm going to be obviously continuing the RE2 remake streams. Only a stream or two left for that stream to 100% Resident Evil 2 remake. And we will move on to another Resident Evil on top of the randomizer. So you'll have the randomizer stream, RE4. I will be checking that out for the first time. It's been streamed by a bunch of people, but, RE4, it's, it always holds a special place for me because it was the first, Let's Play that I did here on this channel back in 2010. So it does kind of hold that. And of course, it's, obviously a little bit of a nostalgia trip, of course, to play through that stuff. But yes, so there's going to be a bunch of stuff that is going to be coming out on this channel in the next couple months, on top of covering the current stuff while we wait for, the game updates, because there's not really like a, we're so close to the Village stuff, so we might not even get more Village stuff until a little bit further down the road in terms of like if they show us anything else from Mercenaries or another press release. Same thing with RE4. Again, collector's edition. We're still kind of waiting on that. Let's see. Going into RE4 knowing there will be stuff I love and stuff I don't. Yeah, there's always the original. It'll never be the original. The original is going to be always there. That's what makes it the original, and then the reimagining or the remake what it is. Yeah, she did. Yeah, Ashley did kind of flirt with Leon in the OG one. It just kind of seemed weird, but they're definitely not going to leave that in. I hope the randomizer gives you nothing but Iron Maidens or flying insects. Yeah, that's the one thing that I am not ready for. But I'm excited I'm excited because the reactions, you know what I mean? Like, you play RE4 a million times. You know what to expect, but you don't know what to expect when that randomizer comes on. When I did the remake one, I didn't play it as much as I would have liked to, but when I saw the Neptunes swimming through the hallway, I thought that was hilarious. Anthony, will Village get Village People DLC? Yes. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. The Village of the Village will get the DLC. Hold on one second, guys. One second. All right, I am back. Let's see. Oh my god. Holy shit. That's funny. Yeah, what Perry said. Yeah, do you think Chris Redfield might get a story DLC in Village after Rose's story like a tell? No. No. You know what they're going to do? You know what they're going to do? They're just going to probably put, I would say, no more. Okay. I think that after Rose's story, it's done. Like I personally, I know that 7 had, a couple story stuff. They had the band footage. They had that stuff, the Zoe stuff, right? No, actually 16, I think, or she's like 17 or something. She's supposed. I mean, they could change her age. But with Chris, he's old as fuck. Speaking of age. And they obviously progressed, the story 16 years, and made Chris old, and didn't really conclude that. So I would have hoped that this DLC from the start would have just been Chris, and then just finish it there. But I'm not really mad at them finishing Rose in this thing, so we can kind of wrap up the Winters, double thing. I don't know. It's just like, I really don't like when they do the older characters dirty like that, and I'm kind of upset about, like, just not seeing enough Chris in Village. That was kind of like my main thing. And then when he did show up, it was for a little bit, and it didn't really make sense. So, I think Vader, to answer that, I really would like them to bring back our old characters, but I think that Chris doesn't need to be in DLC. He should at least be in his own game. If they're going to do Chris again, just make it, make Chris the main character. We haven't been Chris as the main character really since 5. You could play him as 6, or in 6 rather. But come on, it's been a little bit, so. Or bring back Jill, you know what I mean? Either one. Fran Rowe, that's amazing. No Shreds, what's up? Fellow YouTube member in the house. Any comments on the rant about Krauser by the DG guy? Well, I know, because I haven't seen it. Honestly, no. I honestly haven't seen anything on Twitter. I haven't seen anything about the leaks. I haven't seen anything about, status and rants and all that crap. So out of the loop with that stuff. But really hope they do, or really hope they do what they did with Village and only show the first 1 to 2 hours in the following trailers. Yeah, Chef Jeff. Hopefully, they don't do that with releasing that footage really early, but it always happens, Matthew Webster says, I think RE9 will be about Chris and his squad investigating the Bsaa headquarters of Europe. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. Jill is the missing character, and RE6 says Masai. They'll just remake the remakes. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you'll get Chris, but in the remake of 1 again. Dried Mango wants Rebecca back. Yeah, I mean, Rebecca was cool. What's up? I love watching your videos and streams too. Takita Zumi, what's up? Really wish they handled that right. They were 1 character off. Yeah, I know, with RE6. Yeah, no, Jill should have been in there. I agree. That's, I mean, if you put Jill and Pierce together the person you're going to pick is Jill over Piers. You know what I mean? Like, who would team up with Chris? Well, the obvious choice is Jill. I have a theory that the Rose DLC will take place before Rose visits Ethan's grave. Interesting, Axel. Interesting. That that wouldn't surprise me, but it says 16 years later though. So yeah, no, that doesn't even make sense. Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense because it says 16 years later, and you see her in the cemetery in the trailer, and then it literally says 16 years later. So unless they're really trying to fuck with us and say it's 16 years later after the events of Village, but then it goes back in time, that wouldn't make any sense. Don't do that to yourself. I think Jack Krauser being cut from the game is a myth, says King Shadow. He doesn't fucking believe it. King Shadow says I'm over these rumors. I don't think he's cut. Personally, I don't think he's cut. And just as I stated in my Krauser video a few days ago, of all the things I would like for them to do, I definitely don't want him cut either. If 9 brings Chris and Jill back, it would bring the series back to RE1 full circle. 9 could be a spiritual remake of RE1. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, there's a lot they can do on the table. RE9 is probably going to come before the next, like, remake, I would imagine. Like, they'll remake 4, and then, 9 will probably come out, unless they do a remake and then 9. But I would just like to see Chris and Jill back one more time, if you're going to do it again. And I've been saying that for a while. So I agree. No shreds. Vader says, I would hope they do a spin-off RE game called Infinite Darkness, or the story just focused on Jill finding and learning about Wesker's disappearance in the events of Raccoon City. Well, yeah, I mean, I would always have liked the CGI series or movies about, the Resident Evil games, or on the Resident Evil games, Resident Evil Remake, for example. Imagine if that was in CGI form, so there's just going to be a lot of stuff that they could easily do with the story. And whether or not they actually, speaking of Infinite Darkness, if they actually bring that, back and they kind of explain that story, that, like, in between, even further, because it kind of ends with Claire and Leon kind of arguing, and then it just kind of cuts away. So there's a lot that can be definitely, like, continued. But it's whether or not if it's continued or not, if they decide to bring that on. Let's see here. Abigail says, watching the RE4 Remake trailer a couple times, getting RE Village vibes. Well, it's funny because the RE Village, the vibes from Village, as you say, are all from the original Resident Evil 4. So now, so that fed Resident Evil Village, and now that feeds RE4 Remake, all those assets and stuff kind of carry over in the RE engine. But it wouldn't have been there without RE4. So I'm happy we're getting RE9 DLC. Yeah, right? We can already celebrate that already. I want Sheva and Josh DLC for RE5 Remake. I will pay $44.99 DLC price. Yeah, top notch. I love the DLC in RE5. All jokes aside, I thought that would be really cool to see Lost in Nightmares again. Desperate Escape was actually pretty good in my opinion, but they're gonna do Gold Edition City. Stevie Mac, what's up, Myers? Stevie Mac says, at least with RE9. Being about BSAA investigating, there's a good chance of Jill coming back. Maybe, if she's even still involved. Let's see. Zumi says, and I'm happy we're going to get Chris, Heisenberg, Lady D, and third-person mode. Yeah, a lot of people are excited about that. Arkley Resident says, what's up, Ant? When do you think RE will come to an end? At least for the mainline games, because they can always do remakes and do spin-offs. I think 9 would be a good game to end off the series. Well, it's a good question. I mean, I really don't know. I think it's just like any good horror franchise or any good, you know, thing ever that makes money, and that's a, you know, a business. Like, never say never. And that almost happened, Perry. You better watch your words, because that almost happened. In fact, that was almost what we got for Village, but they they scrapped it. So please don't speak that into existence ever again. But no, if it went underwater, that's when you would end it. But no, if they did it to where there is some kind of like just, I guess, grand finale, you know, they would really have to do it very well. And I think there has to be some kind of like, you know, villain that comes back like a Wesker, where it really holds a lot of weight to that story, you know, not just like kind of like a guy you just kind of throw in like a Simmons, you know what I mean, where it's like, I didn't really like Simmons like that, and I just kind of felt like he was always kind of shoehorned in. I never thought that he was like, you know, this great villain with this development, and, you know, I never thought that of Simmons. I never really thought that of the Molded, even, you know, even with all the backstory with the DLC. I never thought that. Moreover's Jaws. Yeah, I think the differences between the old characters and the new characters, like, if you're going to finish it, you have to have the old characters come back, you know, but I really don't know how I would want it to end, you know, Arkley. I just, you know, I don't know when is the right time. I think you have to, if it's in the mainline games, you know, like I said, the characters are kind of getting older, and you have to kind of wrap up some of that stuff. So there's got to be a bunch of, you know, little changes that they end up doing in the remake as well, that you know, makes people happy. If they do 4, 5, and 6, and whatever they do, you know, we really don't know what they're going to do. $5 super chat, first donation of the evening. Thank you. That helps me out a lot, Matthew. Thank you for the $5 super chat. So do you think we'll never see Leon in another non-remake again? RE6 was his last game that wasn't a remake. The time skip has to be a little concerned. I think we'll see him in a non-remake game. I think if they're going to do a final game, you might see him in that too. I just think that, like, there's got to be a whole different way to bring back these characters. You know what I mean? And yeah, I know, like, it's kind of hard to see him in the current, like, it's one of those things where, you know, Leon is obviously the poster boy, and, you know, we've gotten a lot of Leon and Chris and stuff like that over the years, but, you know, you do have to consider how many times, you know, this character are you going to use this character, and when it's time to, like, you know, start using him in certain parts of the franchise, like the main games, because he's been gone from 7 and 8, you know, but Chris comes back, but even he's very, like, you know, he looks bad in 7, and then when he comes back in 8, he's barely there. It's almost like in the mainline stuff, it's harder for people to kind of grasp those old characters again. But I don't know, you know, I think he'll come back. I think they'll do that again, you know. Chef Jeff, they could remake 5 entirely. Nick, what's up, man? What's up, Ant and Chad? Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for the donations. The time skip does have a lot of people concerned. I think Leon's in his mid-40s. Yeah. What do you think about Leon's daughter in RE12? Yes, Perry. That's gonna probably be the case. Like, but the funny thing is that you say that, Perry, and, like, you know, you see all these movies now where, you know, they have kids, and then they, you know, they pass the torch, you know, or they, you know, they pass the bioweapon torch, so to speak, to how to kill bioweapons. But no, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, that could easily happen. It's like, you know, another generation of these characters, and it's like a reboot kind of thing. That now, obviously, Resident Evil 7 was a soft reboot. I said this back in, 2016, 2017, and no one wanted to believe me. But it is what it is. It's one of those things where, like, they did little things here and there to kind of reboot the franchise. But if they ever did it with other characters, that would be very interesting. How can they continue the story? Yeah, I don't know. No Shreds. That's what I'm saying. The timeline skip is very, very, very concerning. I don't know how much you could do after, another game, Mr. Patriot. I agree, but it depends on what they keep doing. With the story, like where do you put 9? You know what I mean? RE5 and RE6 remakes are welcome, says No Shreds. I agree. We got that giant fly boss battle. Yeah, but that was all bad. That was all bad. I hated those boss battles, in my opinion. Thank you, JM Phoenix, for leaving the like. What's up, Matt Stewart, fellow YouTube members? Says, I think they're going to end the mainline games, do that in an epic final trilogy. All mainline characters have their final game. Let's see, culminating in one final battle with them all there. Yeah, that's what you would have to do, man, but missed opportunity to have more carry on the legacy, says Axel. Yeah, they didn't really carry on the spin-offs, like that. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of all the new characters either, Fran Rowe. Moira was cool, but she needs to pick up a gun. Yeah, especially if she wants to survive the shit that's getting thrown at you in the later games, Or they just ignore RE7 through 8 after RE9. Mortal Kombat ended up doing that in the mainline series. Yeah, that's true. They kind of just, like, made, like, those, 2 games, they could make those 2 games kind of like their own thing. But, ended up doing that in the mainline series. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Perry. Yeah, it's like it's definitely one of those things where they have the power to do that. They have the power to just say, you know what, like that's just cut, that's done, or let's not worry about that. We could see. Murderer says, I just want to say this: I'm not liking the RE8 remake. RE8 remake in third person. It's not a remake, but yeah, the RE third person add-on. Hey, it looks pretty good in my opinion, but I understand if some people aren't for it. Maybe they like it a certain way or they like Village a certain way. That's cool. I'm going to be playing it for sure. Who will win in a fight? Chainsaw Man versus the Hunter? Definitely the Hunter. What if RE9 ends up being the Sidekick edition? Sheva and Carlos teaming up. That would kill us. Shreds. Don't speak things into existence like that. Arkley says, or if they don't want to make a game to be able to send off the characters that we know and love, they could do a CGI film to end things off, which I wouldn't mind, but I'd prefer a game. I agree, Arkley. I think a game would be awesome. I think a CGI would kind of feel like a cop-out, after all those games, to just give us a CGI film to send them off. It's like, can we play it at least? But I don't know. Let's see. We're going to follow up on the ending of Rev 2. Reveal Alex Wesker managed to transplant her consciousness onto Natalia. Yeah, and that ending was really on a cliffhanger, Jack. They never really continued that. So yeah, that's a good point. Leon gets with Hunnigan instead. That could happen. Ironically enough, MK9 reset the timeline and MK8 storyline was ignored. Yeah, it can easily happen. I mean, they do it all the time, especially when, they could just go back and explain something that happened within the 16 years that it jumped between Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil, 9. I guess, like, you could play a year within that gap, if that makes sense. Billy for RE9. Fran, I don't know. Martin says he doesn't think Martin's getting cut. He doesn't think Krauser's getting cut. He says if it was him, he'd expand the story and made him more like a friend of Leon. Well, that's kind of what they, you know, I mean, he was still kind of an asshole to Leon back on Operation Javier, but, you know, I think they should still keep him more of a dickhead, more of like a selfish asshole that's like, you know, he would try to revive Umbrella in this climate, you know. There was an article released stating that there's 11 original founders of the BSAA. Chris, Jill, and Rebecca were some. That was from Mountain Arts. What's up, Mountain Arts? I said what's up to you earlier, but yeah. The thing is that like that's why it's so weird that they don't really like talk about the BSAA stuff as much, because the way I saw that at the end, I was like, how is like it founded by our, you know, our core characters, especially Chris and Jill, who founded it, and it got corrupt. Like where did that tie in, you know? And that's what always confused me. I don't know about that, Matthew Webster. Hoping Sherry, Jake, Helena, and Sheva Moira would be next generation to fight. Yeah, they kind of just left them. They kind of left them be. JM says, I would like that the rescue dog protects Ashley in RE4 in the first section. Ashley? The dog could protect Ashley, or it could help Leon with El Gigante. I guess either one, right? Rebecca Chambers in RE9. I don't think so. She could be in it, just to be in it, but I don't think you'll play her, because in Vendetta they really made it seem like she was like, you know, like behind the scenes, like she's just a scientist working and just doing that. Like she's not even like a medic anymore. I also think having the characters be in their 40s and 50s and having them struggle with being older be a part of the story. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that definitely takes a toll for most of the characters that, you know, you see in all franchises of any shows or games or media, is just kind of seeing that age kind of get to them. When it comes to RE4 Remake, I like, remember you saying last week, Anthony, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah, you do. Especially with the leaks. You really do got to take it with a grain of salt. That's why I don't do videos on them. That's why, you know, I'm trying to get to 20K by the end of the year, you know. Could I sit here and just be a fucking asshole and just, like, spam your ass with clickbait videos and repeating the same thing over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, and re-releasing uploads with, like, shitty, just, like, information and just, like, misinformation and shit? No. I'll create videos that open up a discussion, and I'll talk about, like, my feelings, but it's not going to happen. If I was a dickhead like that, I would be able to grow my channel from, you know, I could grow from 18 to 20 by the end of the summer. It might not happen. I'm trying to get there by the end of the year, because I'm trying to do it as, you know, clean as possible in terms of, like, you know, I'm not trying to, like, you know, force this shit on you guys that's, like, not even real, and then it comes out that it's fake, and then the video is completely irrelevant and it's completely unwatchable because you know that information is not real, you know. Yeah, so anybody that's doing that out there, tisk, because it's kind of annoying, and it's just like, it's a, sure, some people need ad revenue, and, you know, I do this as a job, you know, so obviously I want to be successful in what I do. But you know what? I think it's one of those things where it's just, you have to be genuine, you have to be honest, and, like, I'd rather do that and still try to be successful with the honesty videos and the kind of, like, switching it up, you know what I mean? So, again, a lot of the stuff you just gotta, because the problem is that, and, like, me and Perry talk about this all the time, is that, like, there's certain YouTubers that they'll put the information out there, and then that becomes, like, what people believe, and then I see it in the community, and I'm like, no, that's not even true, you know what I mean? And it becomes, like, you know, the main thing. And this is from, like, recent channels. I'm not even talking about channels that have been around for a long time. I'm talking, like, channels that are up, that are just coming out of the blue, that are trying to break in to the Resident Evil stuff on the leaks, on the, they don't really have like, they don't have like a face to the community. They don't have any past like, live streams or history or anything like that. They try to break in on the hype, which is fine if you do it in a smart way and like talk about the trailers, talk about the videos, talk about the stuff. But if you don't do that, then it's like, what the fuck, it's just lazy. Do the S.D. Perry novels advance the story, or do they stick to Raccoon City? They actually go out of Raccoon City, which is cool. Neo. Or no, sorry, not Neo. No. Neo, the one. No, Capcom is writing their own narrative, right? None of it is drawn from. Well, the books are just its own thing. The books were never canon technically, but they were just events that happened within the game's lore that were in the lore, but it's like she took everything that from the game's lore and just kind of made branching stories from them, and then also really made pretty faithful novelizations for the games as well, and did stuff like Caliban Cove and Underworld where it was outside of the games, which was really fucking cool. Matthew Webster with the $5 super chat says, what do you think of the possibility of Alex Wesker is the one who corrupted the BSAA? Well, I don't know if Alex Wesker would do that specifically, but I would not be surprised if Alex Wesker came back, considering that they used Alex Wesker once and never used her again. And it was kind of on a cliffhanger of Revelations 2, and there's a lot of people saying, are we going to get the spin-off game Outrage or Revelations 3? Yeah, there's a lot of like just stuff that they could easily just keep bringing back. Let's see. Mountain Arts Review says, good chance we might see Rebecca since the article was released last week. I mean, I would like to see Rebecca back in the game because it's been a while. I think the last time we actually saw her, and it wasn't even in story, obviously Vendetta in the movies, but in the games, like she was in 0, and then she was in Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition, with Barry, and that was it. I had all kinds of thoughts in my head, says Murder, when RE4 Original was coming out. What I wish it would be, but then I thought about it never. Then I thought about never happened, but I still like the game. Yeah, I mean, stuff happens. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like those changes, that shift in the industry was really happening during that time, and it changed a bunch of shit forever. You know what I mean? And maybe we'll get a little bit more of that, Murderer. Exactly, Stevie Mac. It's annoying. I really realized that there's a great thing that Welcome to Raccoon City has. Chris, Leon, and Jill together. Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing they got that was cool, but unfortunately, in my opinion, the actual source material wasn't really done. They didn't take it from the source material and make something that was as faithful. A Jake spinoff with a CGI or spinoff, I didn't mind Jake, but I don't really know what else they could do with him. I'm kind of good on seeing him. I'm fine. I think I got what we got. Let's see. Shred says, fun thing about the clickbait videos is that the speculation is kind of alluring and intriguing, but I respect the straightforward vids you provide. Clickbait is fun. Conspiracy type videos. Well, you could do conspiracy videos and not do a bunch of clickbait stuff. You know what I mean? You could just say theories and whatever. It doesn't have to be like a clickbait video and then the information. Like I'm talking about, there's videos that like are literally just like nothing, like just nothing. Just there's no like personality to it. There's nothing that's being brought to it. Clickbait is not fun, in that regard, because it's kind of like there's videos that everything on YouTube at the end of the day could be considered, clickbait. You want to but because there's a lot of like, just videos on the homepage. There's stuff that like looks, there's thumbnails, there's titles, there's stuff that draws you in. Content creators such as myself, we have to have titles that make you want to look at it, right? But it has to live up to it as well. It can't just be like, it has to draw you in, but it has to be just not full of shit, you know what I mean? And then when you watch it and you're like, this is the same thing I watched 4 videos ago from the same channel, you know? Every YouTuber does it, you know? I do it, you know what I mean? But if I don't do clickbait videos where it's just clickbait when you click it and it's just like, there's nothing. There's always something in the video, you know, that I'm trying to say. So every YouTuber draws it in, but I think that the lack of passion in these Resident Evil channels, like I said, that are trying to break in, they don't really have. And I'm not trying to gatekeep, you know, and I'm not trying to do that either, because I know there's gonna be people being like, Anthony, what the fuck? You're making it sound like people can't make new channels and do this. No, it's when they make new channels and they kind of like, you know, they grow and they're successful because, again, like they're playing the game, they're playing the algorithm game. But it's just one of those things where it's like there is no actual like the videos aren't expanding, they're not talking about different topics, you know. So yeah, I just think that there could be. It's just like, come on, you could do a lot better. You know, there's people that could do a lot better, and there's a lot of them, a lot of new. Again, these are all new channels that you see, you know, kind of floating around, and it's a very saturated, you know, market, YouTube, right? There's a bunch of content creators every day. There's, you know, even because the real thing that kind of like weighs it goes back and forth. And yes, Brian, I think 2 and 3 will be on PlayStation eventually. I think it'll be on that service. And yes, Mountain Arts, yeah, that fuck. But yeah, there's just like a lot of like, you know, because when a non-Resident Evil channel that's big does a Resident Evil thing, it's immediately going to them. They kind of take everything up, and then of course the biggest of the RE channels will take, you know, another section of that up. You know, hopefully it's just like one of those things. But yeah, I think that's the one thing too, Brian. It says titles don't really matter if the content is real. That's all that matters. Leaks can never be trusted. It's a waste of time to even talk about. Well, that's the thing too. It's just like the clickbait with the leaks that, you know, if you have a clickbait and you have something to say in a video and that message is stated to the end and it's like your own opinion and your own flair and your own flavor and it's done, and I watch that video and I'm like, all right, that was cool. But if it's like talking about, you know, a leak that is just like, what the fuck? Like, and obviously any leak, you know, and, you know, I've done, you know, videos in the past that have had, you know, leaks in the title, right? Or we talked about leaks. But for Resident Evil 4, I've approached it a lot differently because we were getting information a different way back then, and I'm getting information a different way now. And so obviously, like, there was a lot of stuff, and like all the stuff that we ended up talking about was really true. You know what I mean? A lot of those videos, you know, we had a lot of speculation videos and stuff like that. But if you're going to make a theory or a speculation video, just say theory and speculation video. Instead, it's like, you know, clickbait, and then it's like, you know, 4 or 5, 6 minutes of just like talking about the leak, and then maybe if it's true. No, there has to be a little bit more to that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just my little mini rant on that. But also it's true. You know, it's not even like a rant. It's just more like a statement of like, come on, guys, we could do better. You know, there's a lot of other channels that could do better. But I you know, I have a stance on it because I make content. You know what I mean? So I, you know, if someone says, oh, where's your content? I can be like, oh, here it is. I'm doing it. So I just don't like seeing the misinformation go floating around all the time. But the leaks have been a big thing. You know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the community, and like I know I like to talk about ideas and theories and stuff like that, but I don't like look at a tweet and then take it for what it is. You always got to take it with a grain of salt, with the information being real. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure I got everything. I figured it out, Anthony. It will be called Switch 2, numerals, and the Wii callback. Switch. The Switch. We'll see, man. In spring 2023. Jack says, there's nothing that gets me hide content creators channel from my visibility like absolute clickbait nonsense. The minute I see a blaring clickbait with no real info, it's blocked. Yeah, exactly. You got to clear it out. Vader says, do you think Wesker or Nikolai ever knew each other in the past? Potentially. I don't think so, though. Mountain Art says, what would be your advice for those channels wanting to break in the RE scene? I would say my advice would be Mountain Arts Review to just, obviously be yourself and, cover a lot of the current stuff right now. Obviously cover the trailer, but cover if Resident Evil 4 Remake is, trending, then do Resident Evil 4 content, right? Do a Resident Evil 4 stream, do a playthrough, do a randomizer, do something that is in that wheelhouse of what's trending. Do a Village playthrough. I would say try to look at what's modern right now and what's trending, because a lot of people are into the remakes right now. They all got recent updates. Really try to break into that stuff right now and maybe do the classic stuff a little bit later, or maybe do both, because you could do both right away. But I think the biggest thing is if someone's trying to break in right now, it's a good time, because there's new stuff to talk about, and there's new videos you can make, and there's comparison videos you can make. You have a whole game you can compare certain things to and talk about. So there's a lot of discussion points now. So I would say stick to that, Yeah, Shreds, they definitely cash in. You got to take this shit with a grain of salt. And the thing is, too, it's like, again, everyone has, stuff to draw you in on YouTube, but it's a matter of the quality of the content instead of just the quantity of videos that they can, kind of whore out there. Let's see. Murderer says Capcom is so accustomed to creating linear games. Maybe they came out with a world that's far more open and expansive, and they're explorable. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, Murderer, considering, you haven't played Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is a pretty massive world, to be honest with you. I got into it recently, the past, 6 months, and it's been really cool, honestly. I would say I'm a fan of Monster Hunter. I'm still trying to get into it, but I know what you mean. Ideally, they do linear stuff. It's not really so much open world, but I think their open world itch is there with, Dragon's Dogma and, Monster Hunter. Plot twist to cut Krauser and put Nikolai in. Oh, man. That would piss people off. He's just like, I'm here now. Another mutant. What's up, Dwayne Johnson? We got 76 people in here. 79 likes. Thank you, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. That helps me out a lot. This is a good question. Dwayne Johnson says, I got a question. Do the RE8 Gold Edition, if you already got the game, is it just DLC? Is it just the DLC you would have to purchase when it comes out? Yes. So if you don't have it, you can purchase the Gold Edition, which comes with everything, or you can spend the money on the DLC. I don't think there's a price yet in terms of how much it will cost. I'm guessing $39.99 or $29.99, and that will come with the Mercenaries, the Ethan expansion, the Rose of Shadows of Rose. I'm going to say that backwards like a million times. But yeah, so it's just going to be an add-on. And I remember I did, because even RE7, I never actually got the gold edition of RE7. I remember I just bought the DLC on the store, even after spending $260 on the collector's edition back then. Do you think DC Douglas will voice Wesker? I don't know. It's tough to say. It's really tough to say at this point. Do you like Chris's voice in Village? I think it was much better on 7, more similar to the one we were used to. I didn't mind Jeff Shine in RE Village. I just wish we had more of it. Krauser gets cut and Irving comes out, setting up RE5. Oh, no. Not Irving. A little asshole. Salazar's long-lost brother. I know, it really is. It really does remind me of that. Yeah, he's definitely dead. I don't think there's any way that guy could have survived in the remake as far as Nikolai is concerned. Yeah, no, he did not escape in the time of that missile launching. Even if there was another helicopter around, I'm sorry, he's not flying that shit wounded. Let's see, I bought the deluxe edition of RE8, which was a waste. No thanks on paying more for the DLC. Yeah, I know. I mean, I know they always do those like deluxe editions when it comes with like those little, those little extra downloadable things. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, we always kind of know that they do gold editions. But I understand, where people, will expect this to kind of, be a little bit cheaper. But, get it when it's on sale. DLC does go on sale. And if you're not too crazy about Village anyway, then you're not really missing much. Obviously you have the Mercs add-on. You have all that stuff, you know what I mean? But again, it's just one of those things where, like, if you really care about the story and you want to do the third-person thing, maybe you can split up what you can get. But usually they sell it all together, right? So you have Mercenaries, additional orders, the Shadows of Rose, and all that stuff. But it's also one of those things where I always like the fact that with how they're rolling it out, I'm happy they put it close to Resident Evil 4. It's not too far from RE4. But let's see here. Sorry to sneeze there for a second. The fireworks. Evan says, I'm shocked they never turned Chris and Jill's adventure in Umbrella Chronicles into a full game. Would help further and fill in the gap for the collapse of Umbrella. I agree. It's always kind of weird they always danced around that a little bit. Yeah, Valenza, I know there's a lot of people that are really sold on that third person, that's such a big draw. I think there's a lot of people that just kind of checked out of the first person. Maybe for a particular reason. Maybe that's just not their style. Who cares what it is at the end of the day? They're not going to go back and add it for 7. But I think for this, this really does make sense, for them to just say, you know what, the DLC is only in third person. So let's go back and add it because we have all the, the assets for that. We could just bring it over. Let's see here. What do we got? Abigail says, what's with people getting upset with Krauser being cut from the remake? In my opinion, Operation Javier pretty much just explains Leon's history with him, but not much impact on Leon before RE4. Yeah, I don't know. I personally, I just don't really think it's a necessary cut. I don't think I would be, like, furious. I don't think it's going to make or break, but I definitely would it would suck, you know what I mean? Because I think he is connected with Wesker and Ada, and like I mentioned in my video, I hope they really do it justice there. Noble says, still feel like they should have done Code Veronica first, but RE4 is cool. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think we all said that. I think we all kind of championed Code Veronica from the rip. So, Fran Rose 7 and 8 are fine. I like to have a horror elements returning, but they could have been a new IP and not RE games because they simply don't feel like them. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, Fran. The vibe was definitely different. They were going in a different direction. 7 was a soft reboot, and that's kind of what it was, to kind of revamp, retweak, what they kind of had to undo after 6, Mountain Art says, I remember seeing articles about Capcom stating they wanted to make Resident Evil an annual release in some shape or form. Would seem that they are well on the way to accomplishing that. Yeah, I mean, they have the money. They have a lot of teams. They have this machine kind of well-oiled and going, you know what I mean, ever since they've kind of rappelled back into success here. And it's not a bad thing. There's new shit to talk about. There's new shit to play. Let's see here. And do you think the original Chainsaw controller for PS2, or do I have it for PS2 or GameCube? I used to own one. Can we see it on the shelf? So no, I actually don't own it. Perry owns it, actually. He does have the PS2 controller, I think, or had it. I don't know if he still has it, but I don't own it. You know, I want one of these days. It's expensive, so, you know, I'd probably want the GameCube one personally, because that's the one I have nostalgia with, but I know the PS2 one is red. But I fucking want that thing really bad. What do you think of Capcom jumping 17 years in the future? It's kind of weird. Isn't it 16 years? Or did I get it wrong? I was saying 16 this whole time. Is it 17? I could have sworn the trailer said 16. But either way, Valens. I'm not really happy about it because I feel like it's kind of just making a lot of the characters older. So unless they go back and tell that time. Brian says, thanks for responding to me. You make a lot of sense. Something very rare on YouTube channels. Hey, man, I just try to be honest, and I try to answer you guys that are, you know, subscribed and support me and stuff like that. And that's why I like these little hangouts so we can shoot the shit. You can actually ask me directly, and I'm not playing a game and then trying to, you know, read a bunch of comments, which I still do, but sometimes it's very challenging. But that's part of it, right? Evan says, if Remake 4 sells well, do you think they would do a remake of Code Veronica? Or they just move on to 5 or forget about it? I would say they might just forget about it and do, you know, the main numbers, or go back and do 1, or continue the main line and do spinoffs. I don't know. I personally would like to see Code Veronica, but I just don't really think that they see it as, like, you know, cha-ching. If there's DLC for Mercs, says Carlos Martinez, what places and characters would you want to make an appearance from the other RE games? Well, it doesn't look like there is... Are you talking about for Village, Carlos, or 4? Because for Village, it doesn't look like there's any old characters besides Chris coming back. There's just Chris, Heisenberg, Lady D, and they did briefly show new maps as well, all locations that are in the Village. 789, opinion on this trilogy. I would say 7 was a step in the right direction. It brought it back. It scaled it down to a house. It had some good ideas. It had some good concepts. But it didn't really fully feel like a Resident Evil game just because of the style of enemies, and the Bakers didn't really vibe well with me. But that's a big opinion. That's my big opinion on it. I lose people with that immediately. Like, there's people that just turn off the video, unsubscribe, leave comments saying, fuck you, you hate RE7, just from that. I've been getting that since I've expressed my opinion on 7. But I have liked 7 more through the years. I've played it over and over again. Shout out to Perry. I bought the VR from him. I finally streamed Resident Evil VR a few months ago on this channel. I was finally able to experience it in the way it was designed and intended. And I still thought it was a pretty good game. You know what I mean? I'd probably give it like probably a 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, right around there. It's a good game. It's not the best Resident Evil game, but it did set it back in the right path, if that makes sense. But I don't think it was, like, you know, the worst thing ever in 7. But yeah, I definitely, it was a soft reboot, you know, and it was definitely very different. But yeah, I would say for 7, probably 6 out of 10, you know. 7 is being really generous. I 6 out of 10 for sure. Just because the molded, like, playing that recently, I was like, damn, the molded are still fucking forgettable. I can't stand it. And then 8, you know, I like 7 more than 8, so I would put 8 even lower than that, you know, in terms of the writing, you know. I just thought that was just very lost, in my opinion. And this is just my opinion, you know, to each their own. I know everyone likes it. I thought the gameplay was solid. I thought the gameplay was probably really the best part about it. But it didn't feel like Resident Evil game. I don't think, you know, werewolves and lichens and, you know, vampire ladies and all this shit is really Resident Evil, you know. And I think that the remakes kind of attract me more because they are still zombies, or they're still, you know, in RE4's case, the Los Illuminados. You know, you have all of the original stuff there. And maybe RE4 is where people also said in the original that, you know, that's when they stopped kind of liking it, because it wasn't zombies, you know what I mean? It wasn't what they're used to. But I even missed that from, you know, Village. Like, I thought that they kind of didn't have a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, I think again you're gonna lose people when you feel your opinion. I think back when me and John did the review of Village, we got a lot of heat immediately. But it's fine, And I'm gonna review the Village DLC and I'll discuss it. I'll give my honest thoughts. And then as far as 9, I can't give an opinion on that. But if it's with any scale of how I've ranked them so far, I feel like it would be around there, unless they make 9 its own thing and we can't really categorize it in a trilogy, right? Because if they make these two kind of its own thing off in its side, and then 9 is kind of its own, so maybe I might like 9 the most. Who knows? And yeah, a lot of people said RE4 didn't feel like an RE game. It didn't have zombies. It is over the shoulder. Umbrella is completely gone within a cutscene. They don't show anything. RE4 does have these things, the original, that people were calling out since day one and still have to this very day. And to some of that point, I agree. I thought the way they handled Umbrella in the original was piss poor. It was just like, oh yeah, stock markets crashed and Umbrella was finished. It's like, wait, what? Like this huge ass thing, Umbrella, that immediately comes back in your face in the game anyway, gets this little send off, kill off camera. They killed Umbrella off camera through a narration thing. Imagine that, right? It's just like, and you don't even have to imagine it because you can play it. But imagine if they did that again. That'd be really frustrating, I don't have to see this whole thing on Umbrella. I don't need this whole documentary where it's in, black and white and you got this guy filming in 35 millimeter and he's in a lab coat and he's fucking, injecting steroids into his ass. Like, I don't need to see all that shit. It could just be like something entirely different, right? I'm just making a joke, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for, some kind, like, fill in the gaps, and I think that there's going to be some kind of like, I guess like, again, the organization where you have Wesker in there and it is, trying to piece this stuff together again and trying to like, these remnants are still here and you have these people that are trying to take it to another level. And I think that that's a very interesting idea, yeah, Neo Umbrella. Yeah. That whole thing in 6, I was just not for that. Let's see. 16 years. Yeah, the original characters are getting old. Yeah, that was my biggest complaint about Village is the timeline jump too. That was my biggest even when me and John were talking about it, it was like really higher up on our list of like why did they skip the time. Brian says I'd have to give it a 5 out of 10. Village 2 out of 10. 9 will be trash. He says it's not like Resident Evil at all. We don't know yet, Brian. We don't know. I wouldn't jump the gun and say that, Brian, because we don't know what they're doing with 9. It could be completely different, which I think it will. But Brian prefers the originals over all the remakes and the newest stuff, which is fine. I respect that, and there's a lot of people that fall into that category. Didn't Umbrella Chronicles explain Umbrella's downfall? Yeah, but like, not really. Like, I don't know. And like, you shouldn't rely on spin-off games to just do that. You know what I mean? Like, in a main story game, you should have been like, you should have played the spin-offs. Anyway, Umbrella's finished, and it's like, that didn't even exist. That game wasn't even being developed when RE4. You get what I'm saying? I wanted to at least see Jill again before they did the time jump. I know, Noble. That's what they can only do is just go back and fill in those years and just give us a year, If it's 16 years past the years of Village, then what happened in between those years, kind of like what I mentioned, Darkside Chronicles was an actual better remake than the remake of 2. Damn, Brian. That's a very unpopular opinion, but I like it. I like hearing the differences here. They off-screen Umbrella. Yes, they did, David R. I feel like the time skip is just to wrap up the winter story. RE9 will probably follow Chris and Jill. I would hope so, Sigma. I would definitely hope so. That's why, in a way, I'm not too mad about the DLC being Rose, but I've obviously I want it to be Chris. But if it finishes off the winter's little capsule here, then I'll be happy with that, If RE4 remake, if RE4 remake has mercs does well, do you want it to get DLC for non-RE4 locations? I don't really think that'd be necessary, but I would like to see more than 4 maps. Just maybe add more like RE4 maps, you know. I think Joey, I'm pretty sure I discussed Krauser with him. I don't even think he likes Krauser, from what I remember. Evan says Leon will continue the Redfield lineage. They will continue the story. Yes, that's the goal. New Terminator game was announced. Takes place between Judgment Day and the formation of the Resistance. Damn. What the fuck? Were we just talking about this, Perry, like 2 weeks ago on the show? We were like, there needs to be another Terminator game, and now we get another Terminator game. Exactly, Valens. I keep mispronouncing her name, Valens. Yes, I agree. The Enema Umbrella shouldn't be explained in a spinoff. Exactly, I agree. We don't know where Jill is. We just know the last time she was recovering from the note or the little email she sent to Barry in Revelations 2. That was the last we heard of her. Noble. Brian says, don't you miss when games didn't have any DLC and you just unlock things by beating them? Oh, yeah. But that era, unfortunately, has been gone for such a long time, like 12 years now, right? And it was just like, you know, it was always like a big thing. You know what was funny? I remember, because, like, you know, a lot of the stuff's like on the disc, right? But I remember getting the Resident Evil 5 strategy guide and seeing they had a versus mode section in the back, and I couldn't find it. I was like, versus mode? What the fuck? And I was turning on the game. I couldn't find it. And like the strategy guide had it inside before the game. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, you got to pay for this thing, and it's on the disc. So yeah, that was a thing too. New trailer for a RoboCop game just came out too. Jesus, all these properties are getting just a bunch of different games now. We got Evil Dead, we got, you know, Terminator, RoboCop, Texas Chainsaw. Like, all these movie games are happening. Kind of a different era now, right? Where, like, you know, they kind of went away for some time. We got some, but, like, you know, off of these like main franchises now. You know, it feels like the 90s again. You know, shit's starting to come back in that way. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna whore out these properties, whether or not they're good or not. You know, that's a whole nother story. You know, but Evil Dead is you know, it is improved now with an update. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Do you think Spencer could be a main villain? He has potential. Yeah, if he wasn't already, you know, dead and buried. You know, Hard Force says, I think it's obvious after Village that RE9 is the current story. This is the only benefit from the Village DLC. Yeah, exactly, Hardford. They can kind of start. What's up, Callie? Carlos says, don't crucify me. I never thought Jill was a good character or a well-written one. That's fair. I mean, while I disagree, obviously, I respectfully disagree. You know, it's all good. I think everyone has their characters, right, that they like in the series, for better or for worse. You know, some of them are, you know, used too much or used too little, but some people prefer one over the other, so it's all good. Damn, Murderer. So you want more of like an open worldish type game where you can explore. Movie games are praised. Is this the PS2 era or what? Well, no, it's not. Because not all of them are praised. The Friday the 13th one got, you know, shit on, you know, a lot. It was actually pretty good. It just got updated, you know, not just got updated, but it just got, I meant to say it just got updated over time, and it you know, it didn't really launch as smooth as they wanted it to. Evil Dead ran a lot better on the initial launch, but had balancing issues. So don't you think the PS2 era had the best movie games? I think they had some pretty good ones. I don't know if they had the best ones, but I still think Spider-Man 2 is probably, you know, I love that. The Spider-Man on PS2, Spider-Man 2 on PS2 is one of my favorites. Hope they don't do a Scream game, rather have a Halloween game. That could happen. Stevie Mac wants RoboCop vs. Terminator. They should remake that. Yeah, I know, right? Where the hell is that? Uh, Imagine if Bsaa is using Jill or Piers to make their bioweapon. Oh, fuck Piers. Come on, Matthew. We don't want to see Piers again. Uh, let's see. Hope Capcom has something juicy for Code Veronica. Uh, I don't know. Code Veronica is one of those games that, like, again, I really don't know if they're going to approach it in a particular way where, you know, they're going to be like, this is going to be, you know, because, again, it didn't sell well initially, and now it has more of, like, a cult following through the years. And I think now that's why people are like, yes, like, I want to see that remade with the RE engine. And I agree. You know, back like 12 years on the channel, 12 years ago on this channel, I would have told you, I don't like Code Veronica. It's too long. It's too pretentious. It's, you know, boring, whatever. And over the years, I've played it more, liked it more. Played it more, liked it more. Played it more, liked it more. Still sucked at it, but I liked it more. And, you know, I wanted to see it actually remade, you know, after, you know, pretty much kind of like not forcing myself to like it, but just like, you know, years of doing content on it kind of forced me to. And I still want to get better at it, and I want to be able to do all these things with Code Veronica, but I know that myself as a fan, along with other fans, it is kind of like a cult following. You know, I think people do remember it fondly, but I don't think it generates a lot for a company like Capcom as far as income. Matt says this trouble with the time jump is moving forward. Any game with Chris will have very low stakes because we know he won't die. Oh, I know what you mean, because you know he's still alive 16 years later if it goes back in the timeline. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Well, you know, it's not like you would expect him to anyway, you know, unless it's like a final game or they randomly pull a, you know, a little magic trick and they're like, he's dead. But, no, I know what you mean, Matthew Webster. They retrieve his body to get the C-Virus. I know what you mean. I'm just fucking around. But I see what you're saying, though. Like, use the dead bodies as, like, you know, to keep it going, to keep that research going with that, like, between him and Spencer. But, you know, who knows, right? Who knows what they can do? I would always like them to go back and do something with Alex Wesker again. You know, but again, we'll see. You know, I think it's a great idea for them to go back and do Code Veronica, especially because, you know, like RE2 and RE3, they had the fixed camera angles, so seeing them remade or reimagined it's more like, I guess, a real stepping stone for those games. And, you know, I don't even have to guess. I know it was, and it brings it to a whole new audience. And Code Veronica definitely should, you know, be trimmed down a little bit. You know, it obviously can change a few things here and there. The voice acting would be a lot better, you know, so there's little things like that. The music would still have to be kick-ass. So, but who knows? You know what I mean? I really don't know if it's going to be anything that they plan on doing anytime soon. But we shall see. You know, we shall see with that. But, you know, I don't, you know, tank controls and fixed camera angles are still my favorite. My favorite remake is still Remake 2002 on GameCube, the first game. And, you know, but I still like all walks of life of Resident Evil. Let's see here. Yeah, I know what you mean, Hard 4. There's a lot of effort with new characters, but it, you know, and they've done that a lot where like new characters will come out and then it will just kind of be one of those things where, like, I don't know, people will just say, "Oh, well, I really like Ethan." And I'm like, I didn't like him and you know, even at the end of Village, I was like, I didn't really like him as much. And yeah, like that, and a potential that goes into him could have went into Chris for that game. A whole thing. 1 second. All right. Yeah, I know. I think there's like there is definitely a need for Code Veronica at some point, you know. And I know that's like the common thing that people go back to is like, that's going to be next. That's going to be next. But if I had to like take a shot in the dark, I would say the, I would say like the next move on the remake side, if they do 9 after 4, which we know they're, obviously probably going to do strategically, is, go back and do 1. Just go back and do 1, but, we'll see. We'll see what they do. But don't forget to smash that like button, guys. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a little stream. Just wanted to make this a little bit of an hour and a half, little Q&A, shoot the shit session. This was a lot of fun. I always like to do these every so often just to kind of hang out, get the hype stream going. You guys have been, awesome this stream. And on Saturday, I will be back. Expect the video tomorrow at some point. And Saturday, I will be returning with the Summer of RE streams with the Resident Evil 4 randomizer. So that'll be very fun to do on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. I will be giving that a shot. And yeah, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to check me out on all the links down below, all the socials, the Teespring store. We got some awesome merch designed by Quentin Bauer. And just awesome support by awesome people. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Quentin, again. I'll reply to your message right when this is done, by the way. And yes, thank you guys. Patreon, YouTube memberships, support it. NordVPN link down below. Subscribe. Stay tuned for more Resident Evil content as the summer of RE continues. And I'll do some videos tomorrow that you'll see on the Resident Evil Netflix stuff that came out. So stay tuned for that as well. That'll come out tomorrow. Live stream Saturday. I'll see you guys then. Take care. RoboCop game was just announced. Perry, we were just talking about that in the chat when you dropped out. Someone was like, RoboCop was also announced. So yeah, what the hell? What the hell's happening today? Anyway.